I was on this dating site and I messaged this guy because for some reason my messages I didn't see I was getting any. Turns out mine all went to spam. And I messaged this guy and I thought, oh, why not give him a try? And then we were talking, and then after like a few emails, then I'm like starting to realize why this guy is single because it's 2025. I asked you for your number, you asked me for my number. I'm going to give it to you. I'm not going to give you a real number because I'm going to have a decoy number, a Google number, or whatever number. I'm not asking for your real number. I'm like, you don't even have to give me your real number. I just want to talk to you, see if I like you. I don't want to waste your time. Let's see if we like each other and talk to each other. And then he was like, no. And then I was like, okay. And then I try again. And then he's like, no, I'd rather send emails and get to know each other and stuff. And I'm just thinking like, okay, you might be a lesbian, you might be trans. And I'm like, are you a biological male? And then they could be like, yes, because they see it as biological because it's mental. And I'm just trying to figure out if I'm getting catfished. That's all I'm trying to do is try and find out if I'm getting catfished. But the more this man talks, I realize this man is basically trying to drag me along. And I'm not even sure it's a man. I'm assuming it's a man because they said it's a man. And then they told me they were like 6'1". And then this might be petty or something. I don't know. I like to see people stand against the door. And if you're 6'1", I would expect you to be closer to the top of the door. But he was more like in the middle of the door where I would normally be. And I'm like, okay, this is odd. And then the grammar, I'm not the best with the grammar and everything. I don't put like my commas and everything there. But I get my spelling and I get my point across. I don't, because I'm always typing and writing stuff. And I don't always think about the commas and all that. But I always put a period. But I don't necessarily think about the commas and stuff unless I'm writing a paper for like school or something or work or something. So he's writing and I'm reading it and it's like he's not really getting his point across. It's like you can't spell, your grammar's bad. And I'm like, are you from this country? And he's like, yes. And then it's like weird because I'm like, oh, I want to meet somebody, get married, fall in love, have a good relationship. And if that relationship doesn't work, we can be roommates and best friends if we have kids. And he's like, no, that's not good. And it's like, okay, you have to work on the relationship. Sometimes things don't work. People do things and people can't get over it. And he's talking about cheating and stuff. And I'm just thinking, because I'm like, I want to have a homeschool, a homestead and all this and do stuff with the kids so they can get out and learn and have fun and explore their interests. And then I'm just thinking, I can't do this with this man because this man, I think he can read because he's responding to my emails, but he could have something reading him to him because there are apps and stuff that'll read stuff to you, but this man can't write. It's like, when I mean he can't write, he's getting like the and you and our, like basic, like second grade words spelled wrong. It's like, I can overlook a comma and a period and stuff. And it's like, I can even overlook a there, and a you and your and you are. I can overlook that. Because sometimes you're typing and it's like you're not proofreading. Because I never proofread and I make mistakes all the time. But it's like, if you're doing it like all the time, because it's like, if you're talking about something and all this and I'm reading it and I'm like, okay. And it's making him look bad. I'm just trying to, because he's claiming he's from this country. I'm trying to figure out, is this man from this country? And I'm trying to get an idea of how he sounds. Because then he sends me a picture. The picture, he's like in the middle of the door and he's saying he's 6'1". You should be more towards the top of the door, not in the area of the door I am. And even when I don't wear shoes with like heels on them, I don't wear heels necessarily, but my shoes have heels. They give me some height. But I don't wear like those ugly tennis shoes. I I forget the name of them, but they're ugly and they became really popular over the past couple of years. That a lot of people I don't wear those. Those are ugly. But I don't necessarily wear a full-on heel all the time. But I always have inches on my shoes, generally. And I'm thinking, okay, what's going on? His height is giving a red flag. His grammar is giving a red flag. And his lack of wanting to give me a phone number, red flag. And then the funny thing is, he sends me an email talking about we can talk for a few months and see if any red flags. I'm like, I'm too old to talk to somebody through email for a few months. I'm trying to find a husband and get married. And it's like, why waste this few months when I can go meet somebody, hang out with them, get to know them, and be married in like a year to 6 months. And it's like, you want me to waste 6 months on you trying to figure out if you're catfishing me. And I'm trying to understand this because it's seeming more and more like he's catfishing me. And then somehow he links me wanting to hear the sound of his voice. Because I'm like, I might not like the sound of your voice. And then he's talking about being petty. It's like, you might sound like a woman to me. And I don't necessarily like a man with a deep voice that's going to scare me. But if I hear your voice and I feel like a lesbian because you sound like a woman, it's like, yeah, no, I don't really want to mess around with you. And then it's like, if you're telling me I sound like a hoe for wanting to know if you sound like a woman, it's like, that's another red flag. Because it's like, I already have 3 now. I'm on my 4th red flag. And then I'm just thinking, if you're trying to do that and try to hoe shame me because I want to hear if you sound like a woman and you're catfishing me, that's another red flag for me. Because I'm thinking, I'm Christian. I love abstinence. But I'm not stupid. It's like, I might not try out your penis before marriage, but I want to know you at least have one, and a decent size one. So if I ask you how big your penis is, I don't want you to try and hoe shake me. Because it's like, if I'm dating somebody and I'm like, I'm waiting until marriage and abstinence, and then I get married on my wedding night and I find out you have like 2 inches, and it's like, I waited all this time to get married and get fucked, and then I'm finding out I technically can't, like it would be like a lesbian relationship basically, because if you have like 2 inches, what is that 2 inches going to go into? Because you also have to think, does that person have any fat? Do you have any fat? And your fat combines, and then plus, even when you don't have fat, your bodies are connecting, and how far will that go in? And I'm thinking like, that's pretty much just like the tip might touch. And it's like, okay, so I waited my whole life to get married and get fucked and have fun. And then I marry a guy because I'm doing it the right way and not asking questions about your penis, trying to give that good girl vibe. And then I get married and find out you have 2 inches. And I'm basically waited all my life to get married and get basically dick down and like pregnant and stuff. And then I find out on my wedding night, yeah, I'm probably not getting fucked and basically a lesbian because you have no penis, pretty much. And it's like, I would be pretty pissed off. And I'm sure that happens to a lot of Christian women that keep it clean and classy. It's like, I want to keep it clean and classy, but I know men lie and trick people because it's like, oh, they hoe shame you. It's like, you get hoe shame because you don't want to be stupid. And they always say, it's not about the size, it's the motion in the ocean or whatever. But it's like, if you have 2 inches, what the fuck am I going to feel? And it's like, I waited all my life to get married and get fucked. And marry somebody with 2 inches and you're like, okay. Because it's like, you know you have a vagina and the penis goes in the vagina. You might not necessarily know where, but you know it goes in the vagina somewhere. And if you have a vibrator, it's like, you know you want to feel a penis on your clit. So, and you know it goes in there somewhere. And it's like, yeah, probably took health but didn't pay attention. but you know you're going to figure out the dick's going to go somewhere in your vagina area. And then you get married and it's like, okay. And then it's like even worse if like you've never seen a penis. It's like I'm all into abstinence, but I'm not stupid. It's like I like purity and stuff. People get the vibe that I might give off a vibe because it's like I'm not coming off like, oh, I'm so innocent. I've never seen a penis. I've never had a penis in my hand or whatever. It's like, yeah, no. It's like I just don't put penises in my vagina. But otherwise, I live a normal life. And it's like I'm all about the abstinence, my faith, and I don't want an STD. So I don't necessarily keep it classy, but I'm honest. I'm all about abstinence because I'm not trying to get pregnant and everything. And it's like, how did this man jump from me wanting to know his phone number to knowing how many men have been in my bed? And that's the funny thing. I've never had a man in my bed before. Not even to cuddle, not even to sit. I've never even had a man in my bedroom. I won't even let a man in my house. But have I been in a man's bed? Technically, like, a few times. But we were just, like, watching a movie or something. Or he was showing me, like, his computer and it was in his bedroom. And it was like he had his chair and didn't have another chair, so I sat in his bed. But otherwise, no, I'm pretty Christian and boring. I normally sit on somebody's couch, but a lot of time people don't have their computers in their room. And that's the main reason why I've sat in a man's bed or been in a man's bed, because he has his computer in his bedroom and it's like a desktop and he's a gamer or something. Or he might use it as a TV, like his computer set up to his TV as a screen for his computer and a TV. And he watches his like Netflix and movies on there and like has like a big, huge screen. Because I have like a 75-inch, not computer screen. I have a 75-inch TV screen. But my computer that I can game on if I want to has 226. But then I have a gaming TV set up for when I want to play my Nintendo. And I think that's like a 60-inch. So I'm kind of a techie girl, and it's like, So if a guy was in my bed, most likely the reason if a guy was in my bed is because we're either watching a movie or video games. But then I also have a 60-inch TV in my living room right next to my 226 inches to my other computer I can game at, which is a desktop. But then in my bedroom, I have a 75-inch, and then I have a 60-inch, and then I have laptops. So yeah, and then also if I have somebody come over and visit and we're hanging out and we're doing something and they want to use a computer, I have a laptop for guests. So I'm kind of techie. And then it's like, okay. And when I thought about it, how many beds have I been in of guys that I'm dating or friends or whatever? And then that's kind of a tricky question, because if I'm in somebody's bed, most likely we're watching a movie or playing video games. And at my age, that's kind of funny because I'm generally only in a man's bed to watch a movie or play video games. So when I think about it, all the men's beds that I've been in, it's kind of a lot because I play video games and watch movies with a lot of people. So it's funny when you think about it, because how many men's beds have you been in? And I'm like, I play a lot of video games and watch a lot of movies. So I was slut-shamed over a phone number. And I guess you could say video games, because I play a lot of video games and watch movies. And people don't have furniture. Because if I had somebody over and to watch on my big screen, they would either sit in my bed or they'd sit on the floor or in a beanbag chair. Because that's the only furniture I have in my bedroom on my biggest screen. or if somebody came over and we were playing video games, they'd either sit on the floor, my beanbag chair, or on my bed. So, but I never have people come over and play video games or even watch movies. But if I did, and it's like, oh, that's crazy. So, some people might say I have whore hobbies because they're like, how many men have been in your bed? If I invited people over to play video games with me, which would most likely be men, I'd have a lot of men in my bed. Most likely. So that's kind of funny when you think about it. You can be slut shamed for playing video games, and it's like, that's interesting. Abstinence, virginity, waiting till marriage. It's weird how you can get slut shamed, but the girl that's giving everybody blowjobs, she's not getting slut shamed because she didn't have anybody in her bed. Yeah, then people talk to me about blowjobs and stuff, and it's like, nope, I don't give blowjobs. I'm not married. Yeah, I have to have a husband if I was going to do that, and then I don't necessarily want to. Yeah, so it's funny. It's weird because this other guy was like, I was trying to talk to him. He's older than me. He's like quite a bit older than me. And I was trying to talk to him, and then he stopped talking to me for like a month because he's like, I didn't think you liked me. And then I started talking to him again, and then he's like, you're too young for me. And then he's like, I don't think you like me. And then I'm like, okay, you're rejecting me. Then you come back to me and you're like, I like you. I just felt you didn't like me because I was older, he was telling me. And I'm like, you rejected me. I'm the one that's the victim. And it's like, when someone makes me a victim or rejects me, I own it. You rejected me. I didn't reject you. It's like, I could take you back, or I could take you. But then it's like, if I take you now, and you did all this, then later, you can do the same thing. And then it's like, am I always taking you back for you doing something, rejecting me or something? Because that's funny, because this other guy, it was like, he's really cute. I think I made a video about him a couple months ago. He's cute, but he's crazy. And I don't know, I tend to attract cute and crazy. And he says he's still single, and it's like, okay. I'm considering marrying him, and it's like, okay. He's crazy. He's cute. He says off-putting things, and he's anti-woke, but he thinks I'm woke. And then he talks to me about Jehovah, and I'm like, I don't believe in Jehovah. I believe in God. And he's like, Jehovah is God and stuff. And it's like, I know if I got with him, I would most likely be, if we got married and had kids, I would most likely be financially responsible for everything. And the responsible one, he has his own, he has roommates that he lives with, but he has like his own section, I think. And it's weird because he's anti-government benefits and stuff, but he has Medi-Cal, and I'm like, okay, because he was saying something, and I'm like, but you're one of the people that you're talking about. And then he's like anti-migrant, and it's like, I agree with stuff that he says sometimes because it's the truth. Like, the immigration issues, it's like, if I went to the store and I stole a pack of bread, and that's a small crime, I'm going to jail, and if I had kids, they'd be taken away from me. And migrants, they broke into the country. It's like, I have a limit with migrants. Like, if you're like right on the border in the town bordering, like U.S. or Mexico, and you just walk over, it's like, I don't think of you as like a migrant. I think of you as like you're probably visiting your family. So I don't have an issue with that. But it's like, when you're coming from all over and it's like towns over, countries over, and you're crossing, it's like, yeah, that's it. And you broke into the country. And it's like, I know people that are illegal. I have friends that are illegal. It's sad to see that they might get deported, but you committed a crime. If I committed a crime, I'm going to jail and I'm getting separated. So, and it's like, okay, I agree with him on that. They committed a crime. If they get deported, it's like, why are you fighting? You committed a crime. And then I don't get the burning down the towns and stuff. And it's like, I get why Trump is like trying to do all this. And then he's a Trump supporter. And then it's like, I don't get why he's a Trump supporter because he's going to lose stuff. I support no one. Because I kind of get why he's like, because I heard they were saying he wanted to deport 4% of the immigrants. And it's like, I know people that were deported already and it's sad. Because they were like nice people, and I know children that were deported, and it was sad. But it was like, yeah, because I knew this kid, and they had a father. Their father was like really cute. He was deported, so it's like I understand it, and then I also understand why Trump is doing it because he's like, okay, they broke in, we're gonna like do all this, and also I think there's another reason why he's doing it that nobody's really talking about because of the housing crisis. If these people are illegal and they're all living together and paying the bills together, they get deported, then these houses go back on the market and they're available for American citizens. So it's helping the housing crisis at the same time in some situations. So I get like that, but it's a sad thing. And then I feel bad for the children because it's like the children are the victims. No one's paying any attention to the children because the true victim in this whole situation are the children because their parents made these choices that have ruined their life. Because he says stuff and it's like most of the stuff I don't agree with, and I don't agree with the words that he uses. I don't know, he does stuff like that, especially when I talk to him on the phone. But when I see him in person, it's like he's like a shy teddy bear and he won't say anything. And he's like, I just like to talk shit. He has his issues, but he's cute. And he can be nice. Because he even admitted, he even apologized because I stopped talking to him because after he was telling me I was an atheist at one point, and I'm like, why are you so mean and like abusive to me sometimes? Like the shit that he says, because I'm like, I don't like this. You know I don't like this. And it's like, do you try and upset me? Because he says stuff and it's just like, no, I don't agree with you. Or it's like, not always that I don't agree. I just don't agree with the word choice that he uses. And that's not something that I say often. It's like he forces me to be an adult and be politically correct. It's like I like him, but I don't like that he forces me to be an adult and basically stand up for myself and tell him to stop. He does stuff like that because otherwise I would pretty much just sit back because I'm just a passive person. It's like, I probably won't do anything unless I see something that's just, like, really wrong. And then, because it's like, it's not necessarily a good thing. And it's not even that he encourages me to stand up and say something. It's just, he annoys me and he does this stuff. And then I stand up and I say something to him. Because I'm like, your word choice is not okay. I'm not okay with it. And everything. But it feels like when that's the stuff he does on the phone. And it's like, I don't know if he's just playing games, like trying to upset me. But in person, he doesn't act like that. It's like on the phone and in person, he's like two different people. And the crazy part is, you would think somebody would be like with him that's like pushing him to do this stuff. But there's nobody with him when he's doing this stuff and saying this stuff that's pushing him to do this. So it's like, I have no idea what's going on. But when I see him in person, he's like so quiet and he doesn't say anything, and he's just like a teddy bear. And then we go like to like animal shelters and look at animals and like little stuff. Because he'll say crazy stuff on the phone, but then on the phone he'll also be like, I really like you. And then I'm like, you fucked up, and that's why we weren't together for 6 months, because you have these behaviors and you do this stuff and you know it upsets me. And he's like, I was thinking about you. I really like you. And I'm like, are you sorry? Do you regret everything? And he's like, yeah, I'm sorry. I regret everything. And he's like, I want you to give me another chance. Because he's like, I could see a future with you. And it's like, I could see a future with him, but it's like, if he's gonna, because he doesn't do it in person. That's the thing. He doesn't do any of this stuff in person. It's always over the phone. And he doesn't even necessarily do it when I text him either. It's if we talk on the phone, he does it. And it's like, I don't know, is he like trying to piss me off? And he's like, no, he's just like, I'm speaking my mind. I don't know. It's like a weird relationship. It's like not a relationship. Because he says he wants a relationship with me, and he's been saying this since like October, I think. I've been talking to him since like October. I was talking to him from like October to December. And then he pissed me off like right before Christmas. And then he came back to me like a couple of days ago. He like texted me, because he texted me one morning and I thought it was somebody else. And that the guy who I thought it was, that was a whole nother story. I think that's like mental illness, the other guy I was talking to, because he was crazy. He was nice and he was sweet and everything, the other guy. But then it was like, okay, there's something wrong here, because it doesn't sound right. But at least he will work and do stuff. But I think out of all the guys, he would most likely be the guy that I would like date or possibly marry. Because we have stuff in common. And it's like, I get what he says and I get his points. Because he does make valid points with some things. It's just the way he gets his points across. Yeah, and he always tells me, like, even before, like, he pissed me off, he would always tell me that he liked me. And he still tells me that he likes me. And he wants to be with me. And then he's like, I want to marry you and have a family. And it's like, yeah. But then there was this other guy I was talking to. And he seemed nice. And I was talking to him on OkCupid, because him I met on OkCupid too. Because I met two of these guys on OkCupid and two of these guys in other places. And this guy, he's younger than me. There's one guy I met on OkCupid. He's like a couple of years younger than me. And then this other guy that I was just talking about, who does the crazy stuff on the phone, but in person and text, it's like he's fine, he's normal. Except one time he was like trying to assert his dominance. He was telling me, you don't tell me what to do, I tell you. And it's like, okay, you said that in text and that was crazy. Well, actually, he has said a few things in text that are crazy, but mainly over the phone. Yeah, but this new guy, he's the craziest of them all. Well, actually, the guy who tried to hoe shame me over wanting to know if I'm getting catfished, I just found hilarious. Because he's older than me, too. He's like, I think like 10 years older than me. And it was like, okay. It was weird. Yeah, because it's like, I might say some stuff, and it's like, I'm not saying I say the best stuff, because it's like, you've heard me say shit, dick, all this stuff. It's like, I like to identify, because some people say like Snow White was white as snow and pure. And I like to identify as a Christian with maybe a little piss in the snow. Yeah, I might be a virgin and everything, but I can't have a dirty mouth at times and say, like, I do cuss. I will do that. And I have seen a penis. But then some people are like, yeah, you might say some stuff, but you're still pure as snow because you're not putting dicks in your ass and you're not putting dicks in your mouth and all this other stuff. Because I like to keep it Christian and everything, and I don't like to put penises like in my face and stuff or in my ass and stuff. I like to keep it Christian, pure, virginity, all that good stuff. And yeah, so when I say like pure snow, because I'm not pure as snow, because I say stuff and I do stuff, but then other people are like, people are getting fucked in the ass and getting given blowjobs and stuff. And they're like, they're pure as snow. Why? And I just see it as like saying delusional, because they're like, oh, I saved my vagina for marriage, so still a virgin. It's like, no, you're not a virgin and you're a hoe that's trying to make yourself believe you are. And people are like, sex positivity. Sex positivity just says to me you might have an STD. Yeah, that's what sex positivity means to me. And like when people say, oh, they're pansexual, they're demisexual, sapiosexual, and all this stuff. Because I've talked to guys, because I've seen that on OkCupid, and I'll talk to the guys, and then they're like, oh, I like you for your mind and all this different stuff. So I'm like, so if you like them for your mind, does that mean you suck dick? And yeah, I say stuff like that. So that's why I go with, I'm like pure as snow with a little piss in it, like some driblets of piss, because I say stuff. It's like, yeah, I'm just honest. But all that stuff, when they give those, when guys or women or whoever give those code words, that's just saying like bisexual without the bisexual. And then they're like, then you talk to them and they're like, I like you. Then they're like, no, you have to have a vagina. And I'm like, why would you say that then? Why don't you just say you're straight? Because men and trans and other people are going to think, oh, you're saying that so then they could have a chance. Because otherwise, why say it? It makes no sense to me. But that's just me. And then, yeah. Oh, so the other guy from OkCupid I was talking to that was a little bit younger, because all these other guys, one is like my age, one is like 10 years older than me, and then one's like 15 years older than me. And this guy's a couple of years younger than me. And we were talking, and he seemed really cool, and he lives really close. And then we were talking, because I'm like, oh, because he's like, oh, I live here. And it's like, oh, what do you do? And it's like, oh, you don't have a job. So I'm thinking, like, oh, maybe you just lost your job. Turns out he never had a job, and he's homeless, and he's living in like a homeless program. And he's like, they said I could stay here for 6 months. And I'm like, oh, that's great. So you can stay there for 6 months, get a job, and save up and get your own place. He's like, no, I'm going to go to another place, another program after. And I'm like, wait, what the fuck? And then he's like, I've never found my passion. I don't know what I want to do. And then he's like, his parents live in the next town over. And they have 2 homes. One in California and one in Florida. And I'm just thinking, like, what the fuck is going on with this man? This sounds crazy as fuck. He's in a program where they'll let him live for 6 months rent-free. He can get a job and save all that money for 6 months. And get an apartment and then still have money left over for his savings and to help put down on some furniture or whatever. And he's like, no, he's joining another program after. It's like, okay, if you were joining another, it was like, if you're in this program for 6 months and you get a job, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to join another program when this program is over, because you want to have more security and save up even more money, like a year's salary. or pay off debt before you move into somewhere. It's like, okay, I get that. But the thing is, with him, there was never a job perspective or even getting a job. I even offered the man a job and he's like, yeah, no. And he's like, his mother would be so happy and all this stuff. And it's like, I can give you a job if you want one. You just have to pass a few screenings. And it's like, basically, you just have to have clean fingerprints, no criminal record, and get your fingerprints in the system and get a COVID shot. I can get you a job. I can give you a job. And he's like, yeah, I don't have any of that. And you just need to have money to pay for the fingerprints. And I can get you a job. I can get you a few jobs where you'll make over $100,000 at maybe 1 or 2 jobs. And they'll have steady pay, and I can even get you side jobs. And he's like, no, I haven't found my passion and stuff. And I'm just thinking, okay, this is mental illness. Who the fuck has a passion and they're going to work every day? It's like, that's really rare. Most people are like, I don't want to be homeless on the street. I have a job. I hate it. And I'm keeping it until I find something else. And he's talking about he needs to have a passion and all this stuff. And he doesn't know what he wants to do. And I'm just thinking like, okay, this man is mentally ill. Because it's like, your parents won't let you live with them and they're not too far from you. And then he was like, oh, my dad was a engineer, traveled the world. And his dad wasn't from India. His dad was a white man from America. And he was like, he traveled to Saudi Arabia, Europe, and lived there. And he went to private schools and stuff. And then there's that tricky thing. When people say they went to private schools, you're thinking, oh, they went to a private school, like Catholic school or something, like nice uniform and everything. And it's like, nope, they didn't go to a school like that. Because there's public and then there's private. And then there's private. There's like private schools that are run by like the Catholic Church and different things for people with disabilities and stuff, or people with criminal issues and stuff and drug issues. And it seems like he went to a school for probably kids with like emotional issues or disabled or something to some level. And it's like, okay, because you always get thrown off with that. So this man's living on the street, and well, he's not living on the street because he's in a program, but it was like before he would live on the street sometime. And then he's taking advice from a man he said he met that was in the homeless shelter, that had his home and business burned down, and now he has nowhere. Because I'm thinking, if you have a home and business, even if you were injured at the time and on like medical leave or something, I would think you would have insurance. I would think you would have some savings or something, or if not even a savings, a credit card, so you're not going to the homeless shelter. You're going to the hotel, the most affordable hotel, so you can make the minimum credit card payments to stay off the street, to keep your credit down and to keep paying for that hotel. And it was like, nope, that man did not do that. That man, his place burned down. He was in the homeless shelter the next day. After the money the Red Cross paid for the hotel ran out, he was in the homeless shelter. And I'm just like, okay, this wasn't the best idea, because I'm thinking, I'm not even homeless, but I've had an issue where I had to leave my home because of a natural disaster. Well, not really a natural disaster, just like a house fire, where I had to go stay in a hotel for a little bit. And it was like, I was prepared. I had money. I had credit cards to pay, where I stayed there until I found a new house. And if that happened to me today, I have money in the bank saved. I have multiple credit cards, because I learned from when it happened before. I had money, but it's like, you don't want to spend all your money, because if I find a place to move to, I need to have that cash up front. And I was working, and it's like, I was spending my cash up front on the hotel when it was like, I would have incurred debt and everything, but I should have been using my credit cards, so I would have more cash up front and pay a little bit more than the minimum payments. But either way, it worked out for me. But now I'm older, and it's like, not good to take on debt, but it's better to have debt than be homeless. Because like, this woman on my YouTube page, she pops up And I see her and she's like, oh, she's homeless with her son and they can't go to a homeless shelter. And she's like, her son's like 17 and they're living in their car and she has a husband. And I'm like, okay, your son's 17, send him to school, go have him get a after school job. And then she's like, oh, I'm working at DoorDash and all this stuff. And it's like, your son's 17, let him graduate high school, get an after school job. And then once he turns 18, have him go sign up to be a caregiver somewhere and get his fingerprints in the system. He can get a job 5 nights a week where he might only have to sleep in the car 2 nights unless he wants to rent a hotel. And once he turns 18, you can go get a job yourself and be a caregiver at night and have a place to stay. And if you want to work during the day, go work and everything. Because I have a whole plan. If I become homeless, I have my credit cards, I have my cash, and I have a job. I have plenty of jobs. But if I don't want to pay for a hotel, I found out what to do. Go become a caregiver and get a night shift. You can get like maybe 1 or 2 jobs, and all you do is show up and go to sleep. And the job market is going to be booming even more because the baby boomers are getting old and stuff. So I'm like, why? Because I understand not everybody can do it, but there's enough jobs out there, and it's like, okay, your situation makes no sense to me. And then I saw another person, and they were homeless with their mother, and they're like, oh, they're sleeping in airports and stuff. It's like, why are you sleeping in airports, and why did you move to a different city? It was like they moved to like a different city or state or something. And I'm like, why didn't you just stay where you were, and you could have gotten an employment or whatever from the city or county you lived in and all this stuff, benefits, where you would have been a resident of that place where you could have got help and different things. And it just didn't make any sense to me. It sounded crazy. Yeah. But I know if I get with the guy that I like, who says crazy stuff sometimes, because it's like we get along, he likes me, I like him. We agree with stuff, but he wants to be more blunt. I'm like, use tact. And it's like, when I'm saying this stuff, it's like, I kind of feel, in a way, I'm kind of like monitoring a child. And I think if things get serious with him, because he's like, oh, let's do this. And it's like, he's cute, I like him and everything. And we got serious and had kids. Because I even said I want to have a homestead. And he was like cool with that because he's from like the city. And I'm technically from the city. Because it's like I basically grew up there and lived there. But I want to try country living, or at least a suburb with a big backyard. When I say country living, I probably mean more like a suburb with a big backyard, because I used to live in one place and it was a suburb and people had big backyards, and they also had a mall across the street, and they had horses and like big gardens and stuff, but there was a shopping center across the street and a major highway. Yeah, and national parks and all that stuff. So like in an area like that, so I'd like a suburb with a big backyard where I could have like horses if I wanted to, and like garden and all that stuff. Probably more of that than like, because that's kind of like what my great grandmothers had. It was like they lived near shopping centers and stuff, and they had like animals and gardens and stuff. More like that than like way out in the country and you have to drive to town for like 30 minutes or something. It's like, no, I'd rather have it where I can walk across the street and go to the shopping mall. But those neighborhoods are harder to find, where you get a big backyard, you could have animals and all kind of stuff, and you could also go to like Macy's across the street. And when I mean across the street, I mean like you walk there across the street. That's more like what I'm looking for, I would say, instead of like 30 minutes out in the country. Because I feel like if there's not a Starbucks or a Target, because I pretty much go, because there's Targets everywhere and there's Starbucks everywhere. If I don't see a Starbucks, Target, or Safeway, I feel like I'm out in the country. Because there's like a Safeway like every like 10 miles or so. Yeah, there's like a Safeway like every 10 miles. And then there's like a Starbucks like every like few blocks. Because it's like in the suburbs, there might be like a chunk of Starbucks together. And then there might be a Starbucks down the street in every other block. But if you're like in a city, there's a Starbucks, at least one Starbucks per block, or at least around the corner, where within a mile there might be like 5 Starbuckses. So it's like at least a Starbucks every other block or something, and then a Target, and then a Safeway. It's like those are the things that let me know I'm not too far gone. Yeah, because I'm thinking like what else is a sign where you're not too far away from everything. And the main things I can think of that I see everywhere are Starbucks, Targets, and yeah, Starbucks, Target, and Safeway. But then how I know I'm in a nice area, which doesn't always give it away, because you think to know you're in a nice area, you need to see a Trader Joe's or a Whole Foods. You don't necessarily have to have a Trader Joe's or a Whole Foods in the neighborhood or in the city, but as long as you have a health food store. Because if there's a health food store and a big health food store, you know you're in a nice neighborhood. And like there could be a Trader Joe's or a Whole Foods in the next town over or whatever. But as long as the town has a huge health food store, that's always a good sign. So I like to see health food stores, and I like to see Target, Starbucks, and Safeways. But then sometimes they have health food stores like in San Francisco. There's one health food store I like to go to, but at one point at the street, because it's under the freeway, you probably know what I'm talking about if you're in San Francisco, Rainbow. It's like under the freeway. And at one point, because I even took a video there near it, there were like tons of homeless people and people shooting up under there. And it's like one of the best health food stores in San Francisco, and one of the best ones I've ever been to. And you have all these people shooting up and stuff, and then somebody died in the parking lot because a car hit them, because there's like such a long line to get in the store, and the line isn't with people like in line, it's like people in their cars waiting to get into the parking lot. And somebody died because somebody hit them one time. So it's like health food stores, it's a good sign of a neighborhood, but it's not necessarily always a good sign that it's a good neighborhood, because that's the one place that I can think of where the health food store doesn't give you the idea that it's a good neighborhood, because I think it might be next to a drug clinic or something, because I know it's some kind of clinic and a lot of people are there. And then it's under the freeway in like an industrial neighborhood near a bunch of stuff. Because it used to be a lot better. But then I found out there used to be a Target across the street, and it was like I was going here all the time and I didn't even know there was a Target there. I didn't know it was there until they closed because they were getting robbed all the time. Yeah, and then the Walgreens over in that area closed like a few blocks away. Yeah, because that's like one of the few stores that's left there, but that one doesn't get robbed all the time. But I would assume not the Target, but the Target was getting robbed. But I would assume the Costco is, because in front of where the Walgreens used to be before it closed, even after it closed, people were selling stuff that was like Costco size stuff. Because I remember the fabric freshener or whatever, the little pellets, they were selling big things of those like Costco size in front. Yeah, and I think I have that on video. Wait, no, I don't have that on video because it wasn't safe to video at the time because it was like hella people. But it was crazy. But that was me rambling about men and hoe shaming and shopping and my suburban country dream. And a guy I might marry that is basically toxic. And basically, he is toxic. And I basically, like, if it was a man, it'd say man up. But I've never really heard people say woman up as much. So I guess I'd have to man up if I got serious with him. Because basically, unless he's like a completely different person, I know if we got together and married and stuff and had kids, I would have to be the main financial support and provide health care for everyone and all that kind of stuff. Because he has a job. He just chooses to work the way he works. And the way he chooses to work doesn't make the most sense. Yeah, and he's basically a white man that wants to be seen as a minority. Because he's like, I'm Latino, but people look at you, they see white man. Or a man that might be slightly mixed. Because he's like, Latino people don't claim him, and he's like, it's not safe for me in Latin America because people see me as a white man, but he's like, I'm Latino. And it's like, yeah, you might identify as Latino, but people look at you and say white man. Which is interesting. But he's cool sometimes, and then it's other times, but I learned not to talk to him about politics or religion. Because those are the things that tend to set him off. But he doesn't go crazy in person. But if you like, watch and subscribe about my messed up, crazy dating and how wanting to know you're not being catfished is slut shaming. Oh, and then there was this other guy. I was talking to him and we were getting along and everything was going great. And I'm just like, I just want to see that you're not catfishing me and that you're a real person. It's like, can we video chat or something? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, why don't you ever answer when I call? Because he claims we talked on the phone once and it's like, I don't remember. And then I was like, why can't we talk? And then things went left and I'm like, I'm calling the FBI on you. And then that was pretty much the end of it. I'm like, why can't we be friends? And why are you making things so difficult? And it was like, I'm like, you're pretty much catfishing me. And it's like, why won't you admit it? And he's like, I'm not catfishing you. And it's like, that's what a catfish would say. Because I'm like, I think you might be a lesbian pretending to be a man and you're catfishing me. Because surprisingly, people that identify as men and they're trans, they'll pretend, because it's like, sometimes it's like, okay, you look like a man, and it's like, or they might use other people's pictures and different things, and they'll say stuff, and it's like, okay, and then they lead you on, because it's like, you hear about this, but that hasn't happened to me. I haven't got tricked by a trans person yet, but it's like, I'm not willing to take that chance and waste like months or weeks of my life trying to figure out what it's like. Okay, we talk for like a few days or whatever, and then we go out and meet. And then it was like him, it was weird because he contacted me and he was like in Philadelphia. I'm in California. It's like I go to Philadelphia sometimes, but it's like I'm not going to Philadelphia like that. And then he refused to video chat or anything, because it's like, if he would have video chatted with me, I would have talked to him and we would still be cool to this day. And he's like, I'm like, why can't you talk to me, video chat with me or anything? Why can't you send me? Because I'm like, okay, if you don't want to video chat with me or talk on the phone, send me a picture of you holding a piece of paper with today's date on it. He couldn't even do that and he refused. And I'm like, why are you refusing? But he sent me an email and I looked up the email and the email led me to who I think he might be. And he didn't want to send the picture with the date. And I found out all this information of who he might be if he's not catfishing me. And it's like, if I wanted to pull up and be crazy, I could figure it out, but I'm not going to Philadelphia to do that. And it was like, he basically ruined the whole thing, because it's like, why can't you take a picture with the date? Because it's like, I'm trying to video chat with you and prove to you that I'm real, but you're refusing to prove to me that you're real. And the crazy thing was, he was sending me pictures. He was sending me pictures. That's the crazy thing. Because the email and the pictures, he could have been the person that was in the pictures. Because he had an email that went with the person's name, and it went with their job. So it was like, it was either him or somebody pretending to be him that set this whole thing up. And it's like, why would somebody do that? But you always hear about people do stuff like that. So I'm just like, send a picture of you with the date if you don't want to, because I just want to know it's you and I'm not being catfished, or someone that you know is using your identity to catfish me. So I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. And he's refusing to send the picture with the date. He's refusing to talk on the phone. He's refusing to video chat. But he's like, I like you. I want to be with you. I want to be your friend and everything. And I'm like, I don't understand this. And then I'm like, because some people with autism, like, they shut down and they do this stuff. And then he's like, no, I'm not autistic. I'm like, do you have anxiety or something? And I'm like, what the fuck is the anxiety with? And it's like, I can't date somebody if their anxiety is like this, or talk to someone or be their friend. It's like, you couldn't even take a picture in the privacy of your own home with the date. And it was like, you could have just got on the video and did something. You could have got on the phone and just said something. It's like, I just want proof that you're real and not a woman trying to trick me or something. And it's like, he would not prove it, and then instead he just stopped talking to me. Yeah, so that didn't go well. And I don't get what's with the men and refusing to talk on the phone. And one thing all these men have in common, they're all white men. Oh yeah, and that guy, he was actually older than me. I think he was like 5 or 6 years older than me, the guy in Pennsylvania. And these are all white men, pretty much, except for the one guy that I'm currently still talking to. He looks like a white man, but he identifies as Latino. Yeah, so I don't understand. He's video chatted with me. We've met in person and hung out. We talk on the phone, but he says he has anxiety too. Yeah, with all these guys and their anxiety, and it's like, I'm a shy person and everything until you get to know me, and then you realize, oh, I'm not that innocent, and I cuss and I say stuff. But I like to keep my abstinence, virginity intact until I'm married, and I don't want to get married and be disappointed and find out I married someone with 2 inches. And then people are like, oh, there's more than that. They can use their mouth, and it's like, okay. But I got married for love forever and to get fucked. Yeah, basically to get fucked and dick down. And if I waited my whole life for this, purity, everything, and then I'm finding out 2 inches, and I don't mean 2 inches soft, I mean like 2 inches hard. And you're basically just a lesbian at that point. Because I'm not a size queen or anything, but looks wise and from what I've learned, I'm probably looking for like 7 inches in thick. And then guys that are like 2 inches, they'll lie and say they're like 6 if you ask them. But it's always better just hit somebody in the crotch. Yeah, like you're sitting in a booth and then you put your hand down and you move over and then your hand's on their crotch and then you squeeze or you press down and then you get an idea of what's there. And it might hurt them for a minute, but then they might be happy too. But it gives information and less of an awkward moment. And it's like, oops, I'm sorry. But those are things that I've learned to avoid 2 inches in a lying man, because you can't ask to see it because that doesn't look good. And you can't say, I'm trying to get married to a guy with a certain size, and you can't say you're looking for a guy that's thick and this size to get married to. So it's basically, you have to play dumb so you don't end up with a guy with a small penis. Because it's like, you waited your whole life to get married and to basically get dick down and fucked. And you end up with 2 inches and you're like, what the fuck? And then it's like, oh, I can't get out of this either because I'm a good Christian girl and I married for love. And it's like, yeah, you married for love, but then you also thought this person had at least 7 inches or so. And then you're finding out, and the reason why I say 7 inches, because it goes back to the fat. It's like, do you have fat? Do they have fat? Are they going to get fat? Are you going to get fat? Because you're going to gain some weight most likely over time. And then if you get pregnant and it's like, okay, you're pregnant, you have a big belly. They might be the same size, but your belly versus them, and then you're connecting. Can you still feel it? And you're probably trying to get fucked when you're married, because from what I hear, you get pregnant, you get really horny. So you're probably trying to get fucked, and it's like, okay, you got married. This guy has like 2 to 4, and your stomach is out like 3, and he gained like a few pounds, so he's getting a belly. You have a belly, and then you're coming together, and it's like either he's pressing really hard or doing like something on the side. It's going to be some issues, but at least at 7, there's some extra in there. So either you gain weight, lose weight, whatever, pregnant, there's still penis. Because I see it as penis math, and it's like, people don't think about that. Because it's like, say if you get married, you're like 20, and you're 50, and you're like trying to get dick down or something, or you're like 35 and you're pregnant. Somewhere between 35 and 50 and like 25, you're going to gain some weight, either on and off or back and forth or whatever. Somebody's gaining weight, either pregnancy, getting older and stuff. There's gaining weight, and he's gaining weight, you're gaining weight, somebody's gaining weight. So it's like, is that dick going to make it to the vagina? And how much of that dick is going to make it to the vagina? And you just have to think about that. And it seems like a good number to go is like 7, because they say your vagina is like 4 inches deep. So if you have 3 inches of leeway and there's pushing, there you might get like 3 inches or 4 inches of penis to go all the way. So that's why, like, at least 7 and up. But then, like, when they're like, and then it has to be thick too, because it's like, if you're like thin like a spaghetti noodle and stuff, and it's like, okay. And this is just what I've learned from my abstinence, because it's like, I'm practicing abstinence, virginity, all that good stuff until marriage. And I read. I don't necessarily read the most Christian stuff, but I read. And it's always good to know what you're getting into and think about math and stuff. But if you like, watch and subscribe. Thanks for paying attention. And thanks for getting my numbers up and everything in some areas, because I realize you guys are watching my videos more and more. Bye!